Welcome to the Change Book Podcast. My name is Rachel Best, and this is our co-host.
I'm Nicole Harvick.
And this is the Change Book series. It is the fastest growing self-empowerment book series on the planet.
This spans over 30 countries, and we now bring them all together in a powerful podcast destined to change people from all corners of the globe.
So go ahead and grab your pen and paper because our guest today is going to share a lot of amazing tips and inspiration that you're definitely going to want to write down. Good afternoon. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited today to have a special guest in our group for the Change Book Podcast, Miss Kathryn Brown. I got an opportunity to connect with her a few weeks ago. She wanted to be on this podcast and just share her story. And I'm honored to be able to interview you today, Kathryn, and you just to share more about your story so I can learn more about you and so the audience can learn about you and where you've been, how you got here, and how you got into the book and what's next. So go ahead and share with us, where were you when you, to start this whole process, where were you in the beginning of your story to get you to here?
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so blessed to be here, Rachel. Thank you. Thank you again for having me as a guest.
Thank
and
you.
Welcome everyone to this podcast. So my name is Kathryn Brown, and my story is quite it's quite a testimony. And it started with going from struggle to surrender. And so it starts with being adopted. I was adopted, and with adoption, not believing that I was lovable, that I was loved, that I was abandoned, that people left me. So this is what I brought through my whole life. And I was basically trying to prove my story right and to say, this is who I am. So it showed up in my relationships. It showed up in how I treated myself. I dated people looking for love, and I dated people who were abusive, who treated me poorly, cheated on me, left me, did all the things that comes with an abusive relationship. So every time I dated someone, I was proving my story right, that I wasn't lovable, that no one would care about me, that everyone leaves me. And I also turned to drugs and alcohol. I was a party girl, so I wasn't caring for myself. I wasn't loving myself because of that story I told myself throughout my life. So this played out throughout my life. One of the pivotal moments in my life was in 2020. I found out that I was actually the product of a rape. So I was conceived in rape. So the story of my birth father, even though I didn't know him, there was a story, I had a write up about him, and he was apparently this I had a whole, he was a Greek man in a restaurant, and that's who I knew as my birth father. And it turned out to be a lie when I found out in 2020 that I was conceived through rape. So during that time, I felt like a loss of identity, a huge loss of identity. And because of that, it was a huge struggle. And because in society, that's what our identity is put in. It's in your family, your jobs, how much money you have, all these things. And because I wasn't following Christ at the time, I felt a huge sense of loss. And then also in 2020, I was working for the federal government of Canada. And at that time, I was with them for 18 years. 13 of my 20-year career, I was being bullied, harassed, and discriminated against. And it got to the point where it was so bad, I ended up being pushed out onto employment insurance at a time when they didn't need to do that. So I felt like I lost another identity within months. So 2 identities were lost at that time. And in November of 2020, I was just sitting there thinking about my life and how I felt like a waste of space. I felt like I was taking up air. I wasn't contributing to the world. What have I contributed? I wasn't working now. I've never been married. I didn't have kids. And I thought about my party life and all the people that I dated. And I thought, if this is what life is, I don't want anything to do with it. And I wasn't raised in a house with God. I was adopted into a house of atheists. And so I didn't have that guidance. Um, but in those moments of despair, I cried out to God in that moment. I was on my knees and I cried out to God and I said, God, if this is my life, I don't want it. And if you don't take it, I will. And in the same breath, this breath came into me and it was like, but if it is my life, please take over because I clearly have no idea what I'm doing. And in those
Wow.
moments of surrender, God took
Wow.
over. Mhm.
That's beautiful. Wow. Like all I can say is wow, what a story. And what a redeeming story. Like, struggle to surrender. Like is that where that comes? Struggle to surrender?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I struggled my whole life. Like I would go to work every day. It was like the hamster wheel. Like I was just it was like almost like what's that movie? The
Groundhog
Groundhog
Day?
Day. Like I just repeated the same stuff over and over again. Not really living. I never lived with purpose or vision. I always questioned like why am I here? Like what am I actually here for?
Mhm.
And it didn't really all come together until that day of surrender. And it was like God actually, it was like I heard God say, finally, finally, she's come to me. And in those moments, he took over.
Wow.
He heard me and he took over. He led me to my friend's Take Action Challenge where I went live in her Facebook group for the first time ever. Like I don't do lives. I never at that point I never did lives. I didn't like the sound of my own voice. I talked with a very small voice. I tried to hide from the world. And I went live in this Facebook group and I won $2,000.
No
And
way.
and I heard God say you need a coach. And I'm like, I can't afford a coach. And then he led me to this challenge where I won $2,000 and she offered a leadership program and I jumped in. And I'm now listening. I'm now because I heard God my whole life. I was just like wasn't listening to him. And now I'm listening. And he's led me there. He led me to alpha classes where then I found a church family. Um, so I graduated from my leadership program. During my leadership program, I got baptized and I then staffed. I went on to staff the leadership program. I volunteered my time and staffed. And even when I was staffing, like I didn't have an income coming, like all this. I went on stress leave from my job and they messed up my paperwork. I ended up on welfare, but during all this time I was volunteering my time to support others in standing strong in their leadership. And even though my world was crumbling, I stood there for them. And that showed the company Hardcore Leadership that I was there for the people and it wasn't about me. And so they offered me to start doing their intake calls. And so God was really moving in all parts of my life.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And isn't it funny, like when we stop trying to be in control of things that we really have no control over, right? And
Yeah.
like you said, he was like, finally, she's giving up. Finally, she's
Yeah.
listening. And so, wow, like that is just absolutely beautiful. And so, like, share with us like the journey since then. Like, you just shared a little bit, but share more. Like, what is your what is it that you do?
Okay. So throughout this whole journey, I started doing like summits and I went to go do a summit about like the healing modalities because I was kind of still in I was in the new age also prior to coming to Christ. So I did a lot of different healing modalities and I was going to do a summit about that. And then one day when I was in the training, I was just like, oh, I can't do that. So it kind of God took me off that track and placed me in a place of where I was just really strengthening my relationship with him and building my trust and just really leaning into God. So he's been leading me so powerfully. So I ended up doing my first summit this year. It was called Take Back Your Health. Because of all the stress that I had been through with the job and just everything in life, my health started deteriorating. Like I wasn't doing the things that I loved. I was gaining weight when I normally don't gain weight. So like my cortisol levels were out of whack. And I was led also, God led me to Purium, which is superfoods. And so I've been on this superfoods journey as well. And they've really supported me in getting nutrition into my body, removing toxins. And as we remove the toxins, we're actually also removing stuck energy, stuck traumas. And so it's not only just nutrition, it's like this full on transformation that happens when you start removing the toxins and putting really nutrient dense foods into the body. So I've been on that journey as well. And that's part of what I do. And so I really support people in leadership, mindset, and nutrition. And and I started posting a lot about that. And then I was Karen that actually reached out to me. She just saw me and she's like, I would love for you to be part of this book series. And I was like, me in a book series? What? Like, this is awesome. And I mean, the little voice sometimes comes in and be like, you can't do that. But then I was like, yes, I can, because God says so. So it was really
Amen. That's
exciting.
awesome.
Yeah, it was really exciting to have someone see me, because people they do see me now, and it's because I see me, and because I see the way God sees me, and because like I said, I used to always hide. I wear black all the time, and just never any color. And since then, I wear lots of color, and I'm just like, I sing all the time. But yeah, so what I'm really grateful for is that he's leading me to the places to get his message out, to get his because my testimony is him. Like, he's been with me my whole life. And that's one of the big reasons why I was like, yes, I will do this. I was terrified to do it, to be honest. I was like, how do I write this? Like, how do I write my story in such a profound way? But I asked God to help me, guide me, and he did. And my submission is in. It's very exciting. I also have a really good friend, Veronica, who I'm business partners with, and she supported me a lot of the way, to edit it and kind of go over it with me and really support me in that. And we're building big things together as well. We're doing a women's trade show this weekend. It's a 3-day trade show. It's I'm in Vancouver, Canada, so it's in BC, and it's just really amazing. So we're doing some really big things. I also entered the Fab Over 40 contest.
What's that? That sounds interesting.
It's a contest for women over 40. They enter, and you share your links out, and people vote for you. So the voting is based on the people who vote for you. It's not about anyone else. It's just who votes for you. And you have an opportunity to have a 2-page spread in beauty, in a beauty magazine, and also $40,000 and a spacation. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
give me the link to that.
Yes, I'll share it for sure. Do you want me to send it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're over 40. That, like, I can't believe you're over 40. Like, you don't look like you're over 40.
I'm actually turning 51 in November.
Stop it. Oh my gosh, you look amazing. I thought you were way younger than me. I'm 43. I thought you were so much younger than me. You look amazing.
So do I share it in the chat here?
Oh, yeah, you can share it in the chat. And so there's a couple things I wanted to go to. First of all, I think that superfoods, that's really intriguing as well. So we will definitely have to set up a time to have a conversation about that, because I really want to learn more about that. And I'm sure that other people will probably be intrigued as well. And so how can people get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you about that? About the superfoods?
My link tree. The link tree has all my contact information in there. There's all my information's on there. Okay. And my Instagram's in there, my Facebook, my contact, so you can sign up for my email list, and I can send you information that way too.
Okay, perfect. I know we have it on the bottom of the screen, but some of this is going to be on just listening. So go ahead and tell us your link tree so that they can write that down.
Okay, my link tree is alive, ALIVE, in the word 333. Perfect. Alive in the word 333.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's so good. So good. So let's go back to when you were talking about, your identity and proving your story is right. share with us, because I'm sure that right there is a huge thing for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
share with us, like, just, a little bit more around that, of how, the proving yourself right and the identity, and like, how did you, like looking back at it now, like, if you were able to speak to your younger self, what would you say?
Oh, I actually wrote that in the Fab and 40. So I would say that I would say follow God, follow him like wholeheartedly. Just follow him wholeheartedly no matter what obstacles. Because I was reaching for God my whole life. So even as a young girl, my friends would go to Sunday school and I would ask my parents, I'm like, I want to go to Sunday school. So they'd ask their parents if I could go and I would go. And so I was constantly looking for guidance, but never received it. So I would tell my younger self to just go seek it. Go find God. Find God no matter how you find him. Just keep seeking. Don't let anything take you away from that, and from him. And even in grade 2, we were given the New Testaments, the little tiny ones, the little red
Mhm.
ones. And
Yeah.
I still have it till this
No
day.
way.
And I've moved around 40 different times across the country, three times each
Wow.
way. Yeah, and I still have this little testament. And so now I have like 7 different Bibles, but but yeah,
Wow.
I know that I was always his. And just
Mm.
to tell my younger self that no matter that I was don't worry that you were adopted. You were chosen. You were chosen by the Most High. And even though the adoption was what it was, I've always been loved. I've always had a father.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just to keep going and go all in. Don't be scared. Just go all in. Go all in. Go for it. I would tell myself that too, because there's such greatness on the other side of when we go all in and get out of our comfort zones.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe even speak a little bit more about the identity. Like, there's,
Yeah.
yes, the identity piece. Like, share a little bit more about that, and how you found your identity, and just speaking to that subject in itself.
Yeah. Because of being adopted, I always struggled with identity. I struggled with not feeling like I fit into the family that I was adopted into. I had a lot of trauma there. I had um, different things that had happened, and then when I found my birth family on my mother's side, it was very awkward and weird, and there was lies being told. So I struggled still at that point with it, because it was like, well, where do I belong? If I don't belong here and I don't belong there, where do I belong? And it wasn't until I surrendered to God where I knew where I belonged.
Mm.
And that identity piece, it was like he was the piece to my puzzle. God is the masterpiece, and I'm his masterpiece. So it's like I found that missing link. I found it in God. And it's honestly the most beautiful relationship I've ever had. So like I was looking for love in all these relationships over here, looking for identity, looking for love, and how did I really even love those people? Because I gave everyone everything, but like, was I really giving them love when I wasn't loving myself? So
Mhm.
I came to that realization recently. It's like, how, even though I say I was loving them, really was I though? Because I wasn't loving myself. So those struggles really come out when you really face what it is that's in front of you, which it could be traumas, it could be anything. When you're really faced with it, now I know the place to go is to God, because I find joy in everything now. Like I said, when I ended up on welfare for those few months while the paperwork was going through, like, I was struggled at a moment, and then I was like, okay, God, I know you're like, this is my deeper trust in you. He was developing a deeper trust, because I would go outside to everything to find the
Mm.
answers all the time up until that point. Now I don't even go to my friends for support. I go to him first. I go to
Mhm.
God in first in everything. I trust him, and if he leads me to people, then I'm like, okay, then I trust that it's God's plan. And it's just been such a beautiful journey, like really just that identity in God, and knowing that I was chosen and that he made me perfectly in his image. And it just shows me what relationships, what our friendships, what our every aspect of a relationship gets to be in the world. And we get to mirror that to each other. We get to be. So when I think of the man that God has for me, he's going to be like him. Like he's going to be beautifully, like just compassionate and unconditional love, and he's going to love me for who I am.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you really tied that up very nicely of like, first of all, it's loving you first before you can love anybody else, and mirroring our creator and who he has created us to be, and that he does love us so much. And so, where do you see like moving forward? You wrote you're in the book series number 20, right? You're in book
Yeah, I'm
series
in book
number
20.
20. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And so 19 was just released. 20 will probably be released in the next few months. And so
Yeah.
tell us, like, what are you excited about? Like being like you're in this group, you're meeting people, just being in the group. Share a little bit about that first. Like being in the group, what has the group done for you so far, being in this community with the Change Book series?
Oh my gosh, this group is beautiful. There's so many, like yourself, and I've met so many people. I haven't met anyone in person yet. I was
Mm-hmm.
actually in Arizona when the first mastermind was being held, but I'm looking forward to meeting everybody, because everyone has a piece of a puzzle. We're all part of a puzzle together, and we're contributing to the world in such a powerful way and sharing our experiences. And this community allows us to be open. We can be open without judgment. We're supporting each other in this community, really supporting each other in what we're creating and how we're showing up in the world. And yeah, both Jims. There's Jim Lutz
Jim
and
and
Jim.
Jim.
Yeah, Jim and Jim. They're amazing. They offer their time so freely and openly, and it's really great because, like, where else do you, you can just call someone up and be like, "Hey, I need some support here,"
I
like
know.
it's just.
I know.
And then everyone in the community is the same way. Like we can reach out and talk to each other and share what we're up to, and really just give each other that support. It's a beautiful community. I'm just
It is.
I'm so blessed. Like it's such a blessing. God is blessing all of us.
Yeah, I can just ditto everything you said. And like I have had so many great conversations with
Yes.
people in the group. First of all, like doing the interviews, I've really gotten a chance to meet more people and just learn more about them. But then also
Mm-hmm.
like just in Messenger, and hey, getting a hold of some people. And I actually had one person, he was on my summit that I just had. Um
Amazing.
yeah, like I met him through the Change Book series and in the group. And I asked him, actually, I interviewed him for this. And then I said, hey, actually, you know what? No, I interviewed him. We became friends. And I posted that I was doing my summit, and he said, hey, I want to speak on it. So he spoke on my summit, and I would have never known him
Wow.
except for through here, and Nicole Harvick, the other host, and like her and I have gotten a chance to meet. We actually met up like in person. We were in the same, like within 2 hours. Her dad actually lived right near where we were staying at in South Carolina. So we got to meet up. And yeah,
Wow.
there's just like so many people that I've gotten the opportunity to connect with and meet. And like you said, like, we're all a part of this puzzle piece that we're putting together. And that
Mhm.
is like, and each person brings something different to the table. And I do
Yeah.
love that in the group, like there's so much diversity in there
Yeah.
without the judgment, with just
Yes.
seeing you for who you are, and for what it is that you're working on, and what it is that you're doing, and how are you you know putting your I want to say mark in the world because that's my podcast, but it does. It goes with this too, right? Like, how are we all, just connecting and just
Mhm.
helping one another? And that's really what it's all about, is just helping one another. And so I am so excited to read your chapter, and also, share with us, like, what is the vision after? So, like, you're in the book, you've met amazing people. What's next? What is the big vision? What is your hope by being in this book? What is your hope for moving forward?
Okay. Well, I do have a vision of, my vision is to support as many people in taking back their health. And one of my biggest visions is Veronica and I are working towards opening up a retreat center in Costa Rica. So we'd like to buy a beautiful piece of land with a house, a gorgeous house. Like, I already see it. When you walk up, there's huge, like, circular driveway, big wooden door. You walk in, it's like big open space. There's a huge kitchen where people can prepare food together. And then there's a big table where it's a big, huge table where we get to break bread, open space. Then you walk outside, same thing, lots of seating, outdoor kitchen, fruits and veggie trees and gardens, and then a big plot, like a big deck that's used for prayer and worship, and it overlooks the ocean. And it's going to be built on the foundation of God, and everyone is welcome because Jesus welcomed everybody. So no matter where they are on their walk, they are welcome. So they're welcome to come to our retreats. People are welcome to use our space for their retreats. And I just know that they're all going to be touched by the hand of God when they come. And one of my biggest things is I want to lead billions of people to Jesus.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We definitely have a very similar vision. So I don't know if you read in the change book my story, but like, it's very similar, very similar. And so
Beautiful.
that is so beautiful. So again, people get connected for a divine purpose, and
Absolutely.
that's amazing. I'm so excited to connect with you again offline and
Yes.
just get to know each other more and just see how we can collaborate with one another. And, I just appreciate you taking your time just to share, a little bit about your story. People can get the book when it's out and they can read your story. And you definitely shared some hope and inspiration today. Give us one last piece of, like, wisdom. What do you want to end us off with, just pouring into whoever listens to this?
I would say, if you're ever struggling with anything in life, if you're open to having a conversation with God, just go for it, because he does save. He saved me out of the darkness. I was ready to commit suicide, and here I am today, and I'm showing up so big because of him. And just know that you are here for a purpose. Out of all the people that could be here, you were chosen to be here during this time. So you have a purpose in your life. There's people waiting for you to show up, and we are here to support that.
Wow, that's beautiful. You have definitely touched my heart today. And anybody that listens to this, they're definitely going to feel your heart. Like, you can just feel that you have such a heart and such a love to serve and to see people. And you're just a very caring, amazing person. And so I thank you so much again for taking the time to pour into the Change Book podcast series. And we are looking forward to seeing more of you and what you're going to be doing in the world. So
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Oh my
we'll
gosh.
talk again.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Nicole Harvick, and this is my co-host,
Rachel Best. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.